AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. ByteDance drops a new open source image editor just like Nanobanana. Google drops an AI that can accurately identify cancerous tumors. Open source has caught up once again. We have a new open source model which is as good as the top closed source models out there, including GPT-5 and Gemini 2.5 Pro. This AI can take multiple images of a person and generate an entire 3D model of them. We have an AI that was trained on a ton of video gameplay data, but surprisingly it's also able to work in robots in the real world. This AI can generate real-time 3D worlds which you can explore around, and it actually remembers everything, even if you leave the scene and come back again. Google has rolled out Nanobanana right inside Google Search, so you can easily pull up this image editor and use it for free. We also have some ridiculous humanoid robot demos and a lot more, so let's jump right in. First up, this AI is really cool. It's called DIT360, and this is actually by the team at Insta360, which makes really awesome cameras. Well, here they basically released an AI that can create high-quality panoramic images just from a text prompt or a reference image. Here I'm showing you some text-to-image examples, so the prompt is down here, and here's the resulting image. Or here's another example. We have this medieval castle standing on a hilltop, and look how detailed everything is. This is a really high resolution panoramic image. Or here's another example. Here's yet another one. So far for the main image generators we have, like Imagine or Seedream or Qwen Image, they can't really handle super long and panoramic scenes like this. So I think this might actually be the best panoramic image generator we have so far. Now, in addition to outdoor scenes, here are some indoor examples. Again, everything is very detailed. So, this could potentially be used for real estate photography or interior design. Some of these designs are really good. This can also do inpainting. So the original image is on the left. If you blank out a certain area, well, it's able to fill in the blanks like this. And this can also do outpainting. In other words, it can also extend the edges of a reference image. So let's say you're only given something like this. Well, it can generate a full panoramic scene based on this one image. Or here's another example. It can turn this vertical image into a full horizontal panoramic photo. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've released a free Hugging Face space for you to try this out online. It looks like this, and here is where you would enter a prompt, and it would generate a full panoramic photo in 2048 by 1024. Let me try this prompt and then press generate. Notice it takes around a minute to generate a photo. And here's what we get. How cool is that? In addition to this free Hugging Face space, they've already released the code to everything. So if you click on this GitHub repo, this contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Unfortunately, they have not specified any VRAM requirements over here, but you do need a CUDA GPU in order to run this. Anyways, all the links are up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is a bit different. So it's called Thinking with Camera. The model is also called Puffin, and this is basically a unified AI model that can understand and generate images based on camera perspective and spatial information. So it combines vision, language, and camera data into one unified model, which allows it to think about different camera settings and layouts. So for example, you can feed it an image and ask it to estimate its camera parameters such as roll, pitch, and field of view, and because it's trained on this camera data, it's able to understand all these specs. And because of that, you can also get it to generate images based on a specific camera angle or perspective or field of view. Similarly, you can also take an existing photo and get it to generate new photos based on different camera angles, like this. And in fact, if you get it to do this, you can then stitch all the images together to create kind of a 3D map like this. So here are some additional examples where you can just input one photo and get this Puffin model to generate the rest of the scene at different angles and then reconstruct a 3D map from it. Or you can also take an image and iteratively expand the perspective left and right, and what you eventually get is a really long panoramic scene like this. So really quickly, here's how the architecture works. Again, this is basically a unified AI model which not only understands text, so you can input a prompt specifying what you want, but it can also understand an image, so you can feed it a reference image. Plus, it has a new type of input, which are these camera tokens, and this includes parameters such as roll, pitch, yaw, and field of view. Now, in addition to just releasing the model, they've also released the full dataset with 4 million sets of image, text, and camera data samples that were used to train this Puffin model. So you can actually take this dataset and train your own model to get an understanding of camera physics. Anyways, all the links are at the top here, so here's a link to the dataset. Here's a link to the model, and then if you click on this GitHub repo, this contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is super powerful. It's called StreamingVLM, and this is basically an AI that can understand and analyze videos in real time. Even if it's a long video with a ton of different complex elements, it's able to understand everything. So for example, we can feed it some sports footage and get it to narrate the scene.
Warriors bring up the ball. Green at the top of the key, dribbles right, passes to Livingston. Livingston looks inside, finds Green on the wing. Thompson drives baseline, kicks it out. Ball back to Green. That is a good pass. The ball comes back to Green. Green drives in, pass to Iguodala, looks for a screen, takes it himself. Step back jumper, he missed. Quick pass to the corner. Thompson open. 3, no. 93 to 92. Green pushes the pace. Rockets secure the ball. Harden slows it down, setting up the offense. Secure the ball. Watch this move here. He goes to the left hand at first. Then he comes around to the right. That's awfully difficult to defend. Rich on the ball, surveying his options. He finds Rakitic in space. Lovely control by Rakitic. Quick pass to Perisic on the wing. Perisic takes on the defender. He's looking dangerous. Cuts inside, looking for a cross. Mandzukic is waiting in the box. Perisic delivers a high ball, cleared by the Danish defense. Eriksson picks it up. Denmark looking to counter.
Alright, so here it says this StreamingVLM can process videos up to 8 frames per second on a single H100, and it beats GPT-4o Mini 66.18% of the time. Really quickly, here's how it works. So it uses this technique called reuse KV, which basically stores information about the video efficiently and helps it process the video quickly. So it's able to kind of preserve a history or memory of what happened, even in super long videos. Anyways, the awesome thing is they provided the code to everything already, so you can actually install this and run it on your computer using these instructions. They also give you the code on how you can download their dataset and play with it further. Anyways, all the links are on this GitHub repo, so I'll link to this in the description below. Next up, ByteDance releases another image editor. This one, it's free and open source, and it's really good. So it's called Dream Omni 2, and here are some examples. So let's say you have these two input images. Well, you can get it to replace the lantern in the first image with the dog in the second image, and here's what you get. Or we can replace the man in the first image with the woman in the second image, and here's your result. Notice that it's able to retain all the details, including the text in the original image. Or here's another example. We can easily replace the guy's suit like this. Why does he look like that, by the way? It's also great at transferring the lighting from one photo to another photo. So let's say we want to apply the lighting of this photo to the cat photo. Well, here's what we get. Or here's another cooler example where we can apply this lighting to the tiger photo, and here's our result. This can be a really powerful tool for product photography. Or here's yet another example. You can also easily transfer the style of one photo onto another photo. So, for example, we can transfer this 3D pixel style onto this chicken photo, and here's what we get. Or here's another example where we can turn this beach photo into a colored sketch like this. Here's a fun one. We can turn this landscape photo into this starry night style like this. And of course, we can also turn a realistic photo into anime just by giving it an anime reference photo. You can also easily transfer the pose of one character onto another character like this. Or here's another example. This is also really good at transferring expressions from a reference photo as well. as you can see from these examples. And apparently you can even transfer the hairstyle of a reference character onto another character. Here's another fun use case. So you can easily apply the pattern of one object onto another object like this. Or here's an even crazier example. Or here's another example where you can apply this to clothing. And you can also replace the background of an image with another image like this. And it doesn't have to be just 2 reference images. You can upload up to 4 reference images and merge them into a photo like this. Or here's another example where we can take these 2 characters plus this dog and then put them together but in the style of this sketch image. Anyways, there are a ton of examples on this page. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go over everything, but if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've released a free Hugging Face demo for you to try this out. So over here is where you can upload 2 images and basically prompt it to manipulate these images however you want. So for example, I can upload these 2 images and then make the dress in the first image have the pattern as the second image, and here is what we get. In addition to the Hugging Face space, they've also released the code to this already. So if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, this contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. If I click on the Hugging Face repo, it looks like the total size for this Dream Omni model is 16 gigabytes, so it's actually pretty tiny, and it should be able to fit this within like 12 gigabytes of VRAM. That's just my guess because they haven't explicitly mentioned the minimum requirements. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In other news, Google continues to release some super useful AI tools. So this week they just announced DeepSomatic, and this is an AI tool designed to find cancer-related genetic mutations in tumors by analyzing DNA from tumors and normal cells. It helps identify which genetic changes are likely causing cancer. Here's how it works. First, it actually converts genetic data into images like this. It then passes these images through a convolutional neural network, which is designed to analyze images to distinguish between normal cells versus cells with cancerous tumors. And from that, it can actually determine things like inherited genetic variants or tumor-specific mutation or other sequencing errors. Now, of course, in order to train this neural network, they used a high-quality dataset of DNA from tumor and normal cells from breast and lung cancers. Now, even though they only trained it on these types of cancers, they tested it successfully on other cancer types. Here they showed that DeepSomatic was also able to identify an aggressive type of brain cancer, as well as pediatric leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer. In fact, DeepSomatic identified previously known variants as well as 10 new ones, which is pretty exciting. It can identify mutations with much higher accuracy than existing tools. So as you can see here, the purple bar is DeepSomatic, whereas the other colors are other existing methods. The awesome thing is both the tool and the training dataset are made openly available. So if you click on this link, here is GitHub repo explaining the dataset. And then if you click over here, this is the DeepSomatic tool, and here it gives you instructions on how you can actually run this yourself. I'll link to this main announcement page in the description below if you want to read further. Speaking of AI tools, you've got to check out Readdy, the sponsor of this video. This is a smart AI website builder that helps you make pro-looking websites without any coding. Here's how it works. I can just prompt it to create any website I want. This acts like an agent and autonomously creates the full site for me. Plus, they have a Readdy agent which can be added to any site you make. This is like an AI assistant on the site that helps visitors answer questions or book appointments in real time. After setting up my site, I can simply describe what I want the agent to do in a prompt. For example, I can enter this prompt to answer questions about my services, or I can get it to set up online call appointments. The Readdy agent is highly customizable, so you can change how the assistant talks, the language it uses, and even set up FAQs and email alerts. It's super easy to set up, and this will really help boost the engagement and conversion rates of your visitors. Plus, the lead info is automatically captured for all interactions with the Readdy agent, including their conversation and intent, so you can nurture them further. And as you can see here, your visitors can easily use the agent to book calls. This combo makes Readdy a powerful tool for anyone looking to create an interactive, modern website without any technical hassle. Try Readdy for free today. Next up, this AI is super useful. It's called Up to You, and this basically takes multiple photos of a person taken at different angles and poses, and it can reconstruct a complete 3D model of that person, including the texture. So here are some examples for your reference. Notice that you can input any photo of this person in multiple angles or poses. It doesn't have to be like any standard pose, but it's still able to reconstruct a 3D model very well. Here are some other examples for your reference. So this tool can be pretty useful for turning someone into a 3D character in a game, for example, or maybe generating your 3D waifu. And this Up to You method is like 15 to 18% more accurate compared to other 3D model constructors in terms of geometry, and also 21 to 46% more accurate in terms of texture fidelity. And this is also very fast, so it can generate an entire 3D model in just 1.5 minutes, whereas other methods like Dream Booth require like 4 hours to generate the entire model. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've actually released the code for this already. So on this GitHub repo, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. They haven't specified the VRAM requirements for this, but if you click into their Hugging Face folder, the total size is only 3.2 gigabytes, so I'm assuming you don't need to have a ton of GPU to run this. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In humanoid robot news, we have some crazy demos this week. Now previously, I've already featured the Unitree G1, which is by far the most flexible and acrobatic robot we have right now. It can do a ton of things like flips and kung fu and dancing, and it can also get back up really quickly. Well, this week, Unitree released a new demo of their upgraded Kung Fu routine, and this is even more impressive. Notice that this is not sped up, so look at how fast and natural its actions are. Holy smokes, it can even do continuous flips like this. That was super impressive. There's no way in hell I could ever do that. And it keeps doing this consecutively. And then here is a full Kung Fu routine. Look at how fluid and natural its movements are. I mean, this is just incredible. You know, a few months ago, this robot was still pretty clunky, but right now, with some newer reinforcement learning techniques, it can now balance really well, move very naturally, and do some extremely challenging acrobatic things. And if you think this is fake, I mean, note its shadow. It's really hard to fake this. And if you still think it's fake, well, actually we have another demo of the Unitree G1 doing this live on stage. And here are some other examples for your reference. By the way, the dogs in the background are pretty cute as well. Next up, this has got to be the funniest robot demo this week. So apparently we have this robotic arm which can help you shave your face. You can see this guy looks extremely happy and excited to get shaved by this robot. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Notice that in the demo video, there are hard cuts between the scenes. It's not a continuous shot, and they didn't really show the shaving process when the robot, shaved near his lips or under his chin, which are like the trickiest parts to shave. So this isn't a really reliable or trustworthy demo, but there you have it. Here is apparently this new robotic arm from No Matrix, which can hold a razor and help you shave. In other news, open source has caught up once again, and this is also kind of from the GOAT Alibaba. Now, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, Alibaba has their main AI team called Qwen, which has created some of the best open source models out there, like Qwen 3 Max and Qwen 3 Omni, Qwen 3 VL, etc. But Alibaba also has another branch called Ant Group, and they have a team called Inclusion AI, which has just released Ring 1T this week. So as the name implies, this is a huge 1 trillion parameter model, and this is a thinking model, just like GPT thinking or DeepSeek R1. So this is based on their Ling 2.0 architecture, and it's trained on the Ling 1 trillion base foundation model, which I think I went over last week. And they basically trained it further using this large-scale verified reward reinforcement learning, much like DeepSeek R1. And here are the benchmark scores for your reference. So here you can see it's comparing Ring 1T to the best closed source and open source models out there. So that includes Gemini 2.5 Pro plus DeepSeek 3.1 Terminus, Qwen 3, and also GPT-5 Thinking High. This isn't just the normal version, this isn't the non-thinking version, but it's like the most powerful version of GPT-5. And you can see for most of these benchmarks, it actually beats Gemini 2.5 Pro, and it comes close to the level of GPT-5. So that includes like competitive math, coding, ArcAGI, which is its ability to kind of learn new things on the fly without having seen it in its training data. The really impressive thing is that it also was able to get a silver medal at the International Math Olympiad, which is like one of the toughest math competitions in the world. This requires like hours or even days of deep thinking in order to solve a single math problem. Note that this model is not particularly trained to just do well in math problems. This is a pure natural language model like ChatGPT, but it's still able to achieve silver medal status, which is very impressive for an open source model, which you can just download and use right now. So if you want to read further, here are its answers to the IMO problems. The awesome thing is, like I mentioned briefly, they've already released the models for you to use. So all the models are on Hugging Face or ModelScope. Notice that the total file size is like 2 terabytes. So you'll probably need to rent some GPU server in order to run this. But I mean, this is currently one of the best, if not the best open source model you can use right now. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is pretty helpful. So it's called PhysHSI, and this is a system that enables humanoid robots to naturally interact with the real world by doing tasks like carrying things, sitting, lying down, or standing up, all autonomously. So as you can see here, after going through this system, this Unitree G1 is able to carry these boxes very naturally. Even if the box has a different size or different weight or in different positions, it's able to handle all of this autonomously and very naturally. Notice especially the video in the bottom right corner, it seems like the box is pretty heavy, so it initially had a hard time carrying this. And instead of carrying boxes, it can also learn how to sit down on this chair very naturally, as if it was a human doing this. This actually looks like, a robot taking a break after a long day of work, which is pretty cute. Or here are some other examples of it lying down. Again, its movements are just very natural and human-like. So here's how it works. It first trains the robot in a simulation where the robots can learn these physically realistic movements by comparing its actions to real human motion data. So in this virtual environment, because everything is digital and virtual, you can simulate training for like tens of thousands of iterations, all digitally without having to waste any physical resources. And then after going through this virtual simulation, it then is also deployed in the real world using a mix of LiDAR and camera sensors to locate objects accurately and interact with them. The system only needs a rough starting position of the object, and after that, the robot can perceive the scene and act autonomously with natural motions. And this PhysHSI works well across a ton of different environments and tasks, even generalizing beyond things that it was trained on. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they've actually released the code for this already. So on this GitHub repo, if you scroll down a bit, this contains all the instructions on how you can actually download and run this yourself. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is pretty useful. So it's called Tag, and it basically helps improve the quality of AI-generated images by reducing hallucinations. So here are some examples. In the top row are some images generated with Stable Diffusion 3, and it looks pretty horrendous. There are a ton of hallucinations. Well, after using this Tag plugin, it's able to fix the image by quite a lot. Here are some other generations for your reference. Really quickly, here's how it works. So Tag basically amplifies the tangential component of the image generation process. The whole image generation process is basically a ton of mathematical formulas, but I mean, technically, here's what the tangential component looks like. And basically, if you amplify that component, it helps steer the image towards a more realistic and accurate representation. And it does this without requiring any additional training or computational overhead. So this makes it quite a practical and efficient solution. However, note here that they're only applying this to like some really old image models like Stable Diffusion 1.5, 2.1, and only up to SD3. Note that we already have SD 3.5. And I mean, the results that they are comparing this to are really awful. Like, SD3 should not look this bad, so I don't know what is going on here. Also note that the best open source image editors we have, like QuenImage or HiDream or Flux, most of them already do not produce such horrendous hallucinations. Like, the images that they generate are already pretty good. So honestly, this might not be as helpful if you want to apply this to the top image models out there. But anyways, if you are interested in trying this out, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, which contains instructions on how to run this. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, NVIDIA starts rolling out their personal supercomputer called DGX Spark. This is a really compact AI supercomputer that's designed for developers looking to prototype and run AI tools locally. It's jam-packed with a ton of AI development capabilities, but it's pretty tiny. As you can see here, it can easily fit on your desk. Here are some quick specs. So this features an NVIDIA Grace Blackwell superchip, plus it has 128 gigabytes of unified memory shared between the CPU and GPU. So this entire system enables support for large AI models with up to around 200 billion parameters. And if you need more than that, well, you can always link multiple DGX Sparks together. Now, this is priced at around $4,000, and this is, of course, targeted to serious AI researchers who want to prototype and validate models securely without relying on cloud infrastructure. This is especially important for privacy-sensitive industries like healthcare, finance, and defense. And as you can see here, Jensen Huang has personally hand-delivered this to the folks at XAI, as well as the team at OpenAI. So starting this week, you can already order the DGX Spark on NVIDIA. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to their main announcement page in the description below. Next up, here's a quick update from Google. So they've just rolled out Nanobanana in Google Search. That means that on Google, in your Android phone, you can simply click on this lens mode, and at the bottom right, you should see this banana icon. So if you click on that, you can actually take a selfie, and then you can prompt it to basically generate whatever photo you want of yourself. So for example, here they're prompting it to turn this into a photo booth strip with an old school black and white look, and it'll actually use Nanobanana to generate the image for you. So all of this is completely integrated into the Google app. So you can use Nanobanana, one of the most powerful image editors out there, for free right on your Android phone. Notice that right now it's only available in English across the US and India, but I'm sure they're going to roll this out to other countries very soon. Also this week, Google has released their latest video model, Veo 3.1. Note that this is just 3.1 and not Veo 4, so don't expect a huge upgrade. It's only like slightly better in terms of audio quality and character consistency. Now, I already did a full review video on Veo 3 where I tested the hell out of it and compared this with the other top video models out there, including Sora 2, so I won't repeat too much here. But here are some additional updates which I haven't mentioned in my previous video. Here's actually a really useful feature which you should know about. So this is only available in Google Flow. After you've created some videos using Veo, you can hover over the video and then click on this edit button. And then here you can actually insert any object you want. So you just need to drag over the area where you want to insert the object. And then in the prompt box, you would describe the object that you want to insert. So here, for example, we can put an elderly man next to the cow. And here is what you get. Pretty cool. Or here's another tip. If you use this ingredients to video feature where you can upload reference objects or characters to insert into your video, notice that by default it only allows you to upload 3 photos. But what if you want to add more than 3 reference things? Well, you can actually upload a collage or a grid of multiple things as one photo instead. And it turns out that this method would still work. It would actually transfer all these objects from your grid over to your video generation. So those are 2 more quick tips for Veo 3.1. In other news, World Labs, which was created by Fei Li, who is like considered the godmother of AI, they finally released an update, and this time it's actually really good. So they've announced this real-time frame model, also called RTFM, and this creates a 3D-like video world in real time, which you can interact with. This thing is blazing fast and efficient, so this can run in real time using just a single H100 GPU. And this is also designed to learn from data. So unlike traditional 3D models, RTFM uses a neural network to basically learn how to generate 3D scenes from watching tons and tons of video data. From watching all this video data, it just inherently learns the laws of lighting and physics. And the best thing is this is also persistent, so the scene doesn't change. If you walk away and then walk back to the same area again, everything remains the same. Here's another outdoor example where you can walk around different places, but if you go back, notice like the playground remains the same as before. Here are some other examples for your reference. So notice that, especially compared to the previous world model that they released a few months ago, this one is actually way better quality. The awesome thing is you can try this out right now. So simply click over here to try this out online. And then I can basically walk around using the WASD keys and also look around using the arrow keys. And this actually renders super quickly, like everything is in real time and the latency is very low. Here's another example. Again, everything is just very responsive. So give this a shot. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is really interesting. So it's called D2E and it's quite technical, but I'll try to explain this in simple terms. So this is basically a new framework that uses gaming data to train AI models that can then control real-world robots. So instead of gathering really expensive physical robot data, D2E actually collects many hours of gameplay scenes across a variety of games, as you can see here. So we have like Brotato, CSGO 2, Stardew Valley, Minecraft, etc. And it basically studies all of these games to learn how to act. In particular, they trained this generalist inverse dynamics model, which basically learns to predict player actions just from watching a gameplay scene. And this can generalize to new games that it has never seen before. Alright, so that's what it means by out of distribution generalization. And then from that, they also trained this vision action foundation model, which transfers what the model learned from these gameplay scenes to real robots in the physical world. So interestingly, what it has learned from these video games can also be applied to tasks like manipulating physical objects or navigating around spaces. In fact, if you look at this liberal benchmark on robot manipulation, this new D2E scores a success rate of 96.6%, which is much better than previous models. And the crazy thing is, it learned how to do this not from actually manipulating objects in the real world, but just from watching video game scenes. On this navigation benchmark called Canvas, it also scores a success rate of 83.3%. So this study shows that skills learned from video games, like controlling players and moving around, can surprisingly also transfer well to real-world tasks. And this makes training robots way cheaper and faster. Instead of spending a ton of time and physical resources training robots, we can just train an AI model on these virtual gameplay scenes and then apply what it learned to real-world tasks, which would of course be cheaper and faster. Anyways, if you scroll up to the top of the page, it looks like they are planning to release both the dataset and the model. For now, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, we have a new AI called MVP4D, and this can create 3D heads which you can animate just from a single 2D photo of a person. So here are some examples. If we input this photo of Morgan Freeman, well, here is this 3D interactive head which you can move around. Or here is Tom Cruise for your reference. And then here is his 3D head. Now I must say the quality isn't that good, so for some angles or expressions this doesn't really look like Tom Cruise, so it's not perfect. Or let's try Kobe. Like, it's not bad, but for some angles it doesn't really look like Kobe. And also the teeth are kind of messed up. Really quickly, here's how it works. So it uses a two-stage process. First, it takes your input image of a face and then it generates multiple videos of this face from different angles using what they call a morphable multi-view video diffusion model. It then basically merges all these different videos together to form this 4D representation, which can be rendered and viewed in real time. Unfortunately, for now, they have not released the code yet, but they do say it's coming soon, so hopefully they will stick to their word and release this. For now, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this page in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.